Okay. Ah, okay. So going back to Jupiter. Jupiter and Taurus. We know this Jupiter and Taurus people have... Oh, I forgot to mention that Leo rules the 5th house. So Leo affects Pallas Athena right here. It colors it, so it gives it a fiery effect. So intuition is added to that. But where is Leo right here? Leo rules, right here is a Leo. Leo rules the 11th house. So how it's processed, or a kind of link, there's a link between the love he gives and the love he receives, which is the 11th house. Vesta is protecting him there. Vesta and Leo, I have Vesta and Leo. We're the kind of people, very intuitive. We need to trust our purity, our devotion to our own childlikeness, and figuring out what do we need to keep secret. Right? So here, telling him to keep sacred his own childlikeness, his innocence, his purity, where he was before he became jaded, you know, before we get into this 3D world. That's really what it is. And trying to go back to that, which again ties back to the north node right here. Right? So, but because it's ruled by the sun also rules his 11th house. Which means that whatever his desires are for vitality, whatever makes him happy, specifically with this commitment to himself, and to commitment to be a little more simple, grounded, you know, in a very spiritual, earthly way. So it's not completely earthy, it's like really spiritual. He has to go back to honoring his own childlikeness right here. Despite what happens with his whatever community he's in, non-emotional relationships, any sort of general like communities, social groups, all those kind of things. And the reason why it's called non-emotional is really because this is the house that's ruled by Aquarius. And it's funny because they're tied. So Aquarius rules the 6th house for him. Oh, Leo doesn't rule his 11th house. Cancer rules his 11th house. I'm so sorry. Because of the house right here. My bad. So Cancer rules his 11th house. So the moon is right there. It's right at home, so to speak, in the 11th house. So, okay, this is why. Okay. So he's very, he won't just trust anyone in his social groups. He won't just, you know, he needs to feel like that connection. But he's able to process that. He's able to work that with, is it going to make him happy? He kind of puts that into question, and he kind of philosophizes it, which is a 9th house thing. He processes it internally, most likely physically, rather than here, because it's Sun, it's in Taurus. So, but he also does kind of process it as a little bit if it has a lot to do with his reputation, because it's still ego, and the Sun is still also ego. But it's not less about reputation with the Sun, but more about the 10th house. So, because Venus rules his Sun through Taurus, it's connected to the Moon. Therefore, his own adventurous side, his ability to go beyond what is comfortable, is still put into question, because it's like, oh, the moon is there. So he's able to sense through it. He has this ability to kind of not only intuit, but also to feel instinctively like, what is going on here? So he has this, he's very connected to his body. Okay, his senses, perception. You know, that makes him sensitive. Particularly because well, Moon was in Cancer, so therefore it goes nowhere else. But because it rules the 4th house, I'm going to go here. Sorry, I'm not boo, but like go down. Sorry, that's what I meant. I have, if you see my placement, I have Mercury conjunct Lilith conjunct Uranus. So these are the things when it comes to the way I speak. It's like, it's unpredictable, highly unpredictable, and just like, I tend to go with, there's a conflict between, when you say conflict, there's a sort of like a, between what I want to instinctively say and analyzing it. So it's like, where do we go? So yeah, that's why I was doing that. So again, it wasn't taboo, it was just going down. So back to that 4th house, because Cancer rules the 4th house, but in this case ruled by Sagittarius. There's a link between his 9th house, because Jupiter rules Sagittarius, rules the 9th house here with the Sun. So there's a lot of link with everything here. So before he gets into any sort of, again, connection with anyone in social groups, any sort of social groups, and the love he received, he questions it and says, is it genuine? Is it something that will make me feel like at home? Because he's kind of questioned that, right? Again, growing up, there was an instability there, or still probably is, but it's kind of becoming a little more stable. He's sort of getting used to that. He's embracing his weird side, his peculiar side. And we talked a little bit about that. So, now going back to, I wanted to go back to Jupiter here. Because Jupiter, again, we know with Jupiter, with Taurus people, they're very slow moving when it comes to taking opportunities. But when I say slow moving, that's not a bad thing. It's like, you know the story about the hare and the tortoise? Yes. This is the tortoise knowing that if I just take my time, opportunities will come to me. I don't need to take every single opportunity. I just need to trust the earth. I need to trust Mother Earth. I need to trust the natural elements. I need to trust the process itself. I need to trust that the earth itself is not separate from the universe itself. In fact, it's just matter. And matter is solid, right? So the energy of solids moves slow. Does it mean that it doesn't move? This is why gemstones, right? Gemstones that we wear, they still have an energy, they have a vibration to them. And even though you can't feel it, like I can't feel stones, I know that there's an effect. When I say I know, I mean like I'm allowing myself to just trust it and just go with it. Okay, so that's basically Jupiter in a nutshell. Jupiter in Taurus in a nutshell. Or Jupiter in Capricorn as well, similar. Virgo, sort of, yeah, still earthy. But yeah, so it's being able to trust matter, trust solids to guide you, and that there's something about them as well. There's something about Mother Nature, nature itself, what's out there in plants. And we had to talk about this. He's very much into, like, I think he's into plant medicine, or, you know, again, because of the alternative stuff as well. Yeah, so, but more like, because Cancer rules his, oh sorry, is Jupiter, because Venus rules his Jupiter, therefore Cancer rules his Jupiter. He has a sense of connection to it, so it's not just that sort of groundedness, there's that instinct as well. It's emotion based, right? So it's a little more fluid. So not necessarily like Earth that's like slow moving, but kind of maybe like a tortoise, like a turtle. It's still slow moving, but it's, you know, kind of like a turtle that knows how to swim in land and water. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah. So there's the analogy. Yeah. So because we're looking at Jupiter right now, we have to look into the opposition, right? Jupiter here was opposition to Pluto. Pluto was in retrograde, right here. So, internal questioning of his own power, and that kind of goes into his second house, because he questions self-worth and like the power he has from that, or like feeling like there's a lot of questioning and like it's trauma basically. So trauma and probably a sense of like, I don't know what to do with finance. I don't know with my money. How am I going to earn it? What happens if I lose money? And if when he does lose money, there's a sort of a pull. But at the same time, there's a positive side to it, pulling at him. Say, do I just forget about that? No, he has to listen through. He has to listen to and through the powerlessness he experiences when he loses money, when he doesn't have a sense of security, and his self-worth is put to question. And Pluto's right home here in Scorpio, but because it pulls off from his, it pulls at Jupiter, or Jupiter pulls at it, and because it's Taurus, we go back to self-worth as well, or how you value oneself, how you, a sense of self-esteem is put into question. So emotional processing through his Venus rules his Jupiter, so therefore he feels that there's also a reputational sort of like to it. Okay, and it's funny because you have, I would say, okay, it's already past the trine aspect. I was gonna say that Venus was trine his Pluto, but it's not actually. So I trust the aspect placements that we get through astro.com. But yeah, so definitely questions his own, his ego is affected when it comes to like his own, like what are people going to think of me? What are people going to see? What are people going to, how is the world going to see me if I'm like poor and all that stuff, right? So, but because of the internal processing of Pluto here, it's like he's really like tenacious. He has to go through karmic sort of, I want to say processing it, but he has to process karmic, the choices he's made in the past, because that's Pluto as well. Pluto represents karma as well. So in retrograde specifically, because it talks about when we don't respect the power, when we don't allow for power to use us, we overuse it, we use it, we abuse it, right? People who are powerless, what happens when they give into the carnal sort of like unconscious Pluto of themselves? They take over others, they rule others, they become tyrannical, possessive, right? Psychopathic to the extreme, Machiavelli, those kind of things, sociopathic, narcissistic, right? So he's learning to work with those karmic experiences, the choices he's made in the past when it comes to money pertaining to business, because these ties, the 9th house here and the 2nd house, are tied through those two planets. So yeah, it goes back to, because his Pluto was in the 2nd house, it's ruled by Taurus, so therefore a lot of the issues pertaining to Pluto and the trauma experience is definitely through Earth stuff, for sure, right? What else? Want to see if there's any. I've recently gone into learning about what is that called? When a house becomes intercepted. Okay, he has no intercepted sign, so no intercepted house. Okay, that's fine. So everything was all expressed in experience with his experiences in the houses. We did talk a little bit about Eris or Eris here in Aries. I like to talk about Eris sometimes, well, a lot of times, because I feel like it does tie into Libra. Transformation, the house of transformation, I would say probably gets tested a lot there, but because it's not in retrograde, it's he's aware that he has to go through transformational processes. It's 16 degrees, particularly with his freedom, pertaining to individuality, pertaining to his own identity, just like the ego as well, meaning like the first ego, the health ego of like, this is what I want, this is what I need, this is what all that stuff. Also pertaining to the body as well. Possibly also medical astrology wise, I would say something to do with the head. I don't know. So Aries in the 8th house is definitely then ruled by Pluto. So a lot of transformational processes. He's kind of had to weigh things back and forth when it comes before he does any sort of transformational work, or even before he experienced and learned how to do them. He had this sort of, I guess you could say, inkling, like this sort of like need to like, okay, weigh in the options. I need to experience loss first, heavy losses, heavy pain and suffering before I experience actual pleasure, before imprisonment before freedom, right? So he had to experience those chaotic he had to experience those chaos first before he experiences a sense of orderliness or stability or security. But Mars also rules his 8th house through Aries. So a lot of that wisdom comes through as well. He's able to, again, download when he feels instinctively need to, but also intellectually, because it is in Aquarius. And also through his own experiences with the sun, like he's because it's not as, these signs are not perception. Let's see, these Mars is not a perception. It's willpower, but it can be, because it is a personal planet. There can be a sense of wisdom, not just through Pallas Athena here, but also because of Aquarius. So because Aquarius is ruled by Uranus and Saturn, right? Naturally they're in conjunct, but Uranus is the higher vibration of Mercury. So it is perception. It's a higher sense of perception. So it's beyond just thinking, right? So there's a sense of just knowing. Possibly in this case more instinctively know. It's an instinct know. It's physical. It's instinct. Again, like I said, he has more earth and he has more water. So intuition is more, in a way, brought down to his body and to his emotions, if anything. Let's take a look. So 16 degrees Aries. Okay, it squares Neptune. So a lot of, possibly at least when he was young, definitely questioned at the very least. What was true and what wasn't true. So there's a lot of testing. He always got tested. At least particularly with his roots, his family. He didn't know what to do with it. He didn't know what was real, what was not real, because of the sense of like, I had this feeling earlier about Neptune, that Neptune, or was it earlier, or was it a dream, that Neptune is okay, so you know how you have faith, right? People talk about faith. Having faith is Jupiter, meaning that you're just willing to go beyond the boundaries and say, okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Neptune is faith as well, yes, but it is more about belief, because it is a faith that is kind of wants to go beyond what's there, yes, but beyond the beyond, because it's sort of it rules Pisces. So Neptune is the magician, right? It creates. It's a part of ourselves that want to believe, even though we don't have. So first, we don't have the information. So okay, we have faith. Okay, that's the Jupiter thing. But then there's the limitations, which is also faith by Saturn. Then there's the changes we experience. And then there's transcendence, which is Neptune. But the transcendence is kind of like, there's a tricky thing about Neptune where it's like, we create this veil within ourselves. It's part of it's a higher vibration of Venus. So it definitely knows how to work with charms, magic, meaning like it's a part of us that knows that we go beyond the tricksteriness of ourselves, our personal selves, because Venus is a personal planet. But with Neptune, it can also be tricky because it's like, it's where we delude ourselves to thinking that, oh, we believe in something, but really it's not belief, or it's not even faith, it's just wishful thinking. So Neptune has to be really considered a lot, but in this case, because it is retrograde, he's able to process a lot of that uncertainty of what is real in his life, particularly with his ancestry, his family, his inheritance, his heritage, where he belongs, a sense of belonging, that's the 4th house, a sense of stability, family itself, parents, particularly like the mothers, but parents, both parents, the nurturing side, feeling nurtured, whoever the nurturing parent is, his first sense of community, that small knit community, that's also the 4th house, home, feeling of like a sense of like a roof over your head. So he's had to transform through those, and Eris and the Neptune thing has kind of made it so that it's like, are you sure, are you sure, are you sure, are you sure? It's sort of a repeated process of, are you sure? Okay, that's what Eris does. It creates chaos. It's like, I thought I knew. I thought I had experience. I thought... No, Eris goes like... Let's turn it upside down. Let's turn it upside down before anything else. At least that's the way I see Eris. We're still not sure. Again, many know this. Eris is still new to astrology. So, we don't know exactly where Eris is going to end up with. Like in the next 1,000 years. We don't know. That was good. Ooh, I feel another sneeze coming on. Okay, it's gone. There you go. Eris was also trying 53 minutes. I could say it's trying to Vesta. So Vesta and Eris are working here. So even though there's might experience like chaos before order when it comes to before he transforms or anything, before he grows, before he kind of like starts to feel stable again, because it's ruled by Scorpio, 8th house. The 11th house in communities, I would say, in sense of communities, the love that he receives kind of proves that. Even once he starts to trust, or rather once he starts to feel comfortable, either one, whether he feels comfortable, whether it's choice or not by choice, he is protected in the 11th house. Lilith is also here, so a sense of individuality, but we're not going to go into that one. Vesta, Leo, so by being childlike, he's able to trust more. Orcus, I'll skip Orcus, it's still new to me, but we did talk about it in person. I hope he remembers. But in any case, so he's able to, once he's become more childlike, and really like childlike, as in like connected, childlike, divine, a sense of sacredness, and once he's gone through that, it's like there's no telling where it's gonna happen, where it's gonna go, but it's like, and that feeling of chaos to order will just be like, oh, it's okay, it's part of life. It won't be like a feeling of instability anymore. So bring it on is basically what that one's saying. I think that's about it. Ah, we forgot to mention this one. Pluto square Pallas Athena. Yeah, I would say it's square Pallas Athena. Yeah, it's square Pallas Athena. So, romantic relationship with children kind of became, or at least his own like. When he was probably a teenager, he probably experienced like a lot of like heartbreak, but it was more like but it was definitely internalized, and kind of he sought his way into like how he could solve that to feel powerful. So I don't know, Pluto in Scorpio is power over power to power. It feels right at home, but it's in retrograde. It's spending might be an issue, right? But with especially with Jupiter pulling at it, with the square here to Pallas Athena. I didn't go through I didn't get the chart here, by the way, that was showing the shapes of the aspects, but we did talk about symbolism there. We talked about it. We saw like wings, 2 wings. So there's a sort of a balance thing there. A lot of it is about balance in his life. We saw 2 sticks, which was actually 2 I forgot what those aspects are. They're minor aspects, they're not that powerful. Well, they mean something, but I tend to look at the squares, oppositions, yes, and conjuncts, because those things actually mean a lot. So going back to Pluto, retrograde, it's Pallas Athena. So when he was younger, most likely he had a lot of challenges with believing in the wisdom he learned from his experiences. Probably like, it could be, yes, like a heartbreak thing. It could be loss of innocence, loss of like, probably he spent things on recreational things that are like Pluto related. I'm not going to say what it is, but definitely Pluto. If you know Pluto, it's abuse. It can be abuse and misuse and use of power. Misuse and abuse of power. So that means it could be anything that had to do with controlling. So I don't know what that is, but it could be like bullying. Could be he was bullied or he bullied. We don't know. Okay, so a lot of that's our narcissism, and seeing how that affected him, and kind of he questioned that. But now that he's older, he's definitely able to process that and use that challenging aspect to see that, okay, I may not know, I may feel powerless, and I should let that go, because there's something always better. Again, it's similar to the whole, when one door closes, another one opens. But in this case, it's more like, when one door closes, there's a bigger door out there. It's not so much about one door closes and another one opens. More like, one door closes, okay, well, that door was fucking tiny. There's a bigger door right in front of me. I see it. So there you go. And plus, he's able to use that energy, his sextile to his Neptune, to believe without a shadow of a doubt. This is what it is. That he's guided, and he's therefore able to download that power again. So yeah, we have here this little thing. It sort of looks like a sail. Can you see that? It's like right here. Boop, boop. Okay, to Jupiter. Okay, I'll zoom out. So right here. You see that? Right there. It looks like a sail. So that means like, well, naturally, because it looks like a sail, it feels like he has to kind of guide himself through the process. There is grounding between the earth and then the heavens, and the sail going like, let's control this a little bit, but still trusting in the process. Right? There you go. That's a beautiful one. He has another one here, actually, right here. Another sail. That's so cool. He has a lot of that sail thing going on. So again, more of that stuff. So a lot of it's pertaining to success and drive and goals, and so inner with outer, and seeing where he's guided through his own health and his own like inner instinct. Like, what is instinct? Because one is, if you see the tip here, right here, the tip of that sail right here, it's pointing, it's pertaining to his health. And the other sail, right, was this one, this tip right here, it's pertaining to his instinct, his here. So once he values that the inheritance he's gotten, not necessarily from family like heritage, but also like cosmic heritage, right? He'll be able to work with that, and it's beautiful because now it's brought down to the horizontal, to the 3D, right? From the 5D, from vertical to the horizontal. So there you go. I hope that was enlightening for everyone. We didn't go into little specific details like what each actuator means. I wasn't like nitpicky at the details, like in terms of this is this, it was more like using this as a way to show how I could read the whole chart by seeing if I could find a message. Okay, remember that astrology is there to show us what's already there and existent. It's sometimes we look towards knowing rather than trusting more. We need to learn how to be more trusting, and then when we know from experience, then we just know. Technically, astrology it's a tool. It's like an automatic download. It's like a cheat of what the heavens and the cosmos have in store for. When I say in store for us, I don't really mean like destiny. We choose our destiny. We choose because when we're it's energy. We're the universe, right? In experience. What is that? Who said that? That you're not a spiritual being having human you're not a human being having a spiritual experience. You're a spiritual being having a human experience. I forgot who said that. But the point is, that's what it is, right? School, this is Earth school, okay? Earth is a school. And that's the wonderful thing about it. You're learning, but it's not always just about the information. In fact, the information comes after. You know, if you look at the elements itself, what comes first? A burst of energy, fire. Then you have to experience it. You have to go through it. Without the knowing, you have to have faith from fire to earth. Once you have the experience, then you gain knowledge, you gain the experience. But you also gain wisdom from that too, which comes to the fight, which comes through water. That wisdom, it starts to become more entrenched into how we feel about it. It's also like the end of that cycle, so to speak. But as we all know, there's no beginning or end, really. It's just like, it's a cycle. We just call it cycles because it's the way we label things. Anyways, I don't want to digress any further. I hope that was helpful. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you very much for watching. Have a very blessed hour, day, week, month, year, decade, century. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Thank you.